Hi, my name's Jon Reynolds, and I'm the author of the upcoming book, Illuminating Nature, out September 17th by Countryman Press. And I'm so happy and thrilled that Boulder Bookstore asked me to do this short little video for their customers. And again, thank you so much for this opportunity. Now, one of the first questions asked here was about the inspiration for the book, and also would I read something from the book. So I felt like actually I could probably kill two birds with one stone by reading from the introduction. So that's what I thought I would do here first. So again, here's the book here, Illuminating Nature. And so I thought I would read the introduction and kind of as a way to explain sort of my purpose in writing the book and sort of my ongoing purpose as a semi-serious photographer. So, the picture on the insert here is the same one that you see on the cover. This is from Crested Butte, Colorado. So some of you may have been to Crested Butte. This is during the fall. Actually, this was taken last year. So anyway, or I should say Gunnison. That's near Gunnison National Forest. So let me read from the introduction. So it was early September 2012. When I noticed the gathering of geese in the pond adjacent to my workplace. I would occasionally see the striking V patterns of the migratory flocks overhead while going about my day. Why not bring my camera and try to get a picture? I thought. The camera had just been gathering dust in my closet since I bought it in the year before to take on a trip. The following morning, I pulled up next to the pond, grabbed my gear, slammed the door, and stomped over to the water's edge. Suddenly, a frenzy of flapping and splashing began, followed by a churning pool of ripples where the flock of geese had just been swimming. I hadn't even removed my camera from the bag. Oh, I thought, as I dejectedly returned to the car, I have to be quiet next time. Every day for the next 4 months, the piercing squawks of ascending geese filled the morning air, followed by the desperate cries of a frustrated hobbyist. Finally, one clear, frigid December morning, frustration turned to exultation. A clear image of the geese, frozen in flight in the warming sunrise of an early winter. 11 years and countless lost lens caps later, I am still chasing the thrill of that moment. It has led me to hike down mountain passes in Colorado on golden fall afternoons, to trudge across the Dakota Badlands in icy winters, to follow glittering streams deep in the sun-dappled woods of West Virginia, Tennessee, and North Carolina. It has led me from sunrises on the coast of Maine to starry nights in New Mexico to moonsets and solar eclipses in Utah. This short volume documents the ongoing pursuit. Although I think photographs should speak for themselves, I have shared some anecdotes, insights, and quotations that have inspired me and serve as written analogs to the visual images included herein. One of those quotations is from Ralph Waldo Emerson, to whom I will give the final word here. Emerson observed that when someone spends time seeking out the healing qualities of nature, quote, he finds himself. The health of the eye seems to demand a horizon. We are never tired so long as we can see far enough. So I think that pretty well summarizes, sort of my ambition and initiative in writing the book. And also kind of serves as an overview of the particular contents that you'll find in it. Now, a question here was asking about what inspired me to hit the road. And part of it really, quite simply, was the desire to kind of get away from work, to find places in nature that allowed me to sort of, process what was going on in my life. I came to photography, fairly later in my life, and so it was a great way to find that sort of personal space. So that's what you'll find a lot of in the book, is a lot of pictures taken sort of during those particular journeys, trips that would take a couple of weeks in length, and the opportunity to kind of seek out not only places that might be fairly recognizable, but also to take time to explore the shapes and textures, the interplay of light, the seasons that I would often find when I would go there. So I think in some ways that sort of answers that particular question about the purpose. Yes, of course, we can always go and photograph icons and see them. They're inherently beautiful, but I'm also interested in finding those little moments, capturing maybe the ray of a sunlight hitting a particular leaf floating down a stream, for example. Those moments mean almost as much to me as anything. And that also speaks a lot to the particular subject matter that I really enjoy, which is, shooting at streams and waterfalls, mostly because that connects me to my childhood. My parents divorced when I was fairly young, and my father for a while lived back on a farm with my grandfather. And that often afforded me the opportunity to kind of go out and explore when I was a kid. And again, I kind of document that a little bit here in the book. And really, I think in a way, as Wallace Stegner put it, that what we experience through childhood sort of frames how we see the rest of our lives. And in a way, that's really what it was. It was that desire to get back to those moments in childhood when time didn't really seem to matter, and we can get lost in that sort of pursuit. So I think that's really a big part of why I wanted to do this, but also why I just enjoy photography. It's the chance to sort of suspend time, to look at nature deeply, and to spend time among it. I think that's really the biggest thing for me. Of course, getting a good picture is important, but really I think the process is what matters most in this case. And honestly, when I think about my development as a photographer, sometimes I get asked, is it your camera? What camera do you shoot with? Or what should I do if I want to get that perfect picture? Or how do you always get, this particular moment? Well, certainly I can share some tips. I share a few in the book, but I think really the most, sort of consistent tip is you have to be persistent. You're not going to get the perfect shot. That's what I mentioned in the introduction, is that perfect shot's not going to happen just because you show up at a place at one time. It takes this repeated effort. And I think sometimes that can be hard. We often have this idea of what we see, or we see other people do, and that's not going to happen. So I think in some ways that's my best piece of advice I can give, is you have to continue. And often it may be revisiting the same place multiple times, maybe even through multiple seasons. But also, I think, to be curious, to be curious about the time of year and the light and the surroundings. Here I'm shooting this short video at just a little municipal park here where I live in northern Kentucky. And you notice the beautiful flowers right behind me. This could easily be unnoticed. People walk by here all the time. So even just recognizing that moment is to say, hey, that's an important time, a moment I need to capture, and just to enjoy it as well. So to be involved in it. Now, I'm a huge book lover. In some ways, maybe it seems a bit antiquated to write a book in this day and age with social media. But really what I want to say is I love reading. It's a huge part of what I do. It's also kind of the inspiration for this, including some of my observations and some of my favorite nature writers. So I like to read a wide mix of things. So I was asked to think, what are the last few books that I've read that I really could recommend. And honestly, I read a lot, but I could recommend the book Beaverland. Leila Phillip, I think is the name. It was a fascinating exploration of the importance of the beaver to the history of the United States, and also documenting her pursuit of this elusive animal, which I found a great kinship with as someone who enjoys photographing nature. I'm also a huge jazz fan. So I think 3 Shades of Blue, I think is the name, the Bill Evans, Miles Davis, John Coltrane book by James Kaplan. Again, fascinating read, and again, I'm hugely fascinated in the musical process, but jazz especially. And then I think just as a really gripping read, I'll recommend one more, The Wager by David Grann. that seems, like a fairly popular recommendation, but it really was an absorbing tale. And again, it often takes me to a different place when I read, history and things of that nature. So that was really, definitely absorbing. So honestly, I hope that you'll find this book entertaining as well as, enlightening. But also I hope you will enjoy the observations and, of course, the photographs that you'll see within. I've interspersed here throughout the video some quick pictures from the book itself. But again, I really want to thank Boulder Books so much for allowing me to do this, to shoot this short video and to share this with you. And again, I wish everyone a great, happy photographing, great travels, and but also be present in nature and be present at the moment. Thanks again.